Significant losses and quality deterioration occur when high moisture content of freshly harvested grain is not immediately dried safe for storage. Thus, the flatbed dryer is seen as an appropriate and efficient dryer to reduce losses and quality deterioration, especially during the rainy season.
Una sa lahat, yung pagkasira ng palay namin, lalo na kung walang sunlight, hindi mabubulok yung palay namin. Kung dalawang gabi o dalawang araw, talaga yung palay mabubulok. Pero kung may flatbed dryer, kaagad namin siya maisolba yung pagkabulok niya. Pangalawa, yung walang maidudulot na yung nagkakalat sa daan, yung mga butil, parang buo siya rito, walang mawawala sa iyo. Pangatlo, time, siguradong madra-dry mo siya. Ang flatbed dryer, pantay yung pagkatuyo. Buo yung bigas.
The use of the flatbed dryer is part of the government's Fields program, which stands for fertilizer, irrigation and other rural infrastructure, extension work, loans, dryers and other post-harvest facilities, and seeds. This program is geared toward agricultural modernization and food sufficiency and security. The flatbed dryer is made of panelized concrete walls complete with perforated metal floor. It is equipped with biomass furnace that uses rice hull as fuel. A 12 horsepower diesel engine provides the required power to drive the fan. It normally dries dripping wet paddy up to 14% moisture content in 8 to 12 hours using a drying temperature of 40 to 50 degrees Celsius. In this type of dryer, paddy is placed in the holding bin and hot air is forced through the stationary grain mass until the desired moisture content is reached. It is coupled with an axial flow fan delivering 10,500 CFM of air at 30 millimeters H2O static pressure. The bin, which is filled up with grain to a depth of 18 inches, has a holding capacity of 6 tons wet grain. Farmers groups or organizations like irrigators associations would greatly benefit from this type of dryer. To start using the flatbed dryer, pre-operating procedures have to be followed. Clean the operating area. Check, remove, and clean the accumulated ash at the furnace. Check and tighten loose and moving parts such as belts, pulleys, and bearings. Lubricate all bearings with good quality general purpose grease. Adjust the belt tension and its alignment. Prepare sufficient amount of rice hull for the whole drying operation. Consumption is at 2 to 3 bags per hour. Make sure that the engine is in good condition. Check water, oil, and diesel level. Clean the perforated sheets. Now we're ready to operate the dryer. Load the grains manually up to the maximum bags that it can hold. Do not overload to avoid spillage of grains. During loading, minimize stepping on the grains to avoid compression of seeds, which could result to uneven air distribution, thus uneven drying. Level the grains to achieve even air distribution. Measure the initial moisture content or IMC of the grains using the grain moisture meter. Start the furnace. Prepare half sack of rice hull mixed with 1 glass of kerosene. Load the dry rice hull to the hopper. Open the hopper to feed rice hull at the step grate. The quantity should be 1/2 to 3/4 full of the grate. Light a round bar stick with wick on its end to burn the rice hull in the grate. The furnace operation is mechanically automated. It requires very minimal human attention and reduces health risks posed to operators. It is also a two-in-one machine, as it produces not only heat but also carbonized rice hull, or CRH. When the surface grate area is completely covered with burned fuel, start the engine that is running the blower. Operate according to the speed, which is 1,600 RPM or 1 inch of water static pressure. Monitor the air temperature for drying using the dial thermometer. Recommended temperature is 43 to 50 degrees Celsius. Avoid buildup of carbonized rice hull in the furnace. Slowly remove it from the grate, as well as those accumulated below the furnace. Maintain the correct airflow, which is 10,500 CFM of air and 30 mm water static pressure. Mix the grains every 3 hours. Turn off the engine and furnace so that air will not enter the drying bin. Use a shovel in mixing but avoid scraping the perforated flooring. Start mixing the grains from one end of the drying bin to the other, making sure that the top grains will go to the bottom level. Repeat the same steps until the moisture content of grains reaches 14%. In getting the moisture content, get samples from the top, the middle, and the bottom. When the average moisture content reaches 14%, stop feeding the fuel. Allow the blower to run for 30 minutes more to cool down the grains before sacking. After using the dryer, steps or procedures should be done. Remove the excess rice hull or use all remaining hull inside the furnace. Sweep and clean the drying area. Dispose properly the carbonized rice hull. To keep the dryer in good condition, maintenance procedures should be followed. Lubricate bearings regularly. Always clean and remove ash at the furnace every after drying season. Check and tighten loose bolts and nuts, set screws and belts before start of operation. Regularly check the oil of the engine. At the end of the drying season, use steel brush to remove clogs on the perforated floor. Apply anti-rust solution like oil on the perforated flooring. Also, keep the engine in a safe place. With adequate knowledge and skills on the operation and maintenance of the flatbed dryer, grains will be saved from deterioration and wastage.
Itong pinasukan namin na nagbigay ng gobyerno ay pinakamaganda. Ang kagandahan nito ay marami. Labor saving, time saving, quality ng produkto. Kaya nga, kung ako ang masusunod ay binibigyan ko rin ng rating ito ng VS, very satisfactory.